Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Access Me Salon, where I will be exploring thousands of access consciousness classes recorded over the last 30 years. The first recording from 1986 until 2022. Join me and find out who likes what class best. I will be interviewing guests from all over the world, people who came to Access very early and who recently joined. So come and explore the world of Access Me. Welcome everyone to another Access Me Salon session today with the amazing Marilyn Bradford. Welcome, Marilyn.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me, David. I'm thrilled.
Me too. And I'm very curious about the call or the class that you chose to extrapolate here together. What was your choice?
My choice was The Home of Infinite Possibilities, which was recorded in Houston with both Gary and Dane in 2015.
The choice of infinite possibilities. So, as you know, Access Me is
The Home of Infinite Possibilities.
the home of infinite possibilities. I have not listened to that, so I'm very curious to find out what made you choose this class. What was the gift? What was the one thing that you remember or that you could actually get out of listening to that class? Well,
really, it was like Christmas because there were so many gifts. And I've probably listened to that class 25 times. And every time I listen, I get something else out of it.
So, Home of Infinite Possibilities, what is the main topic? What is the main topic of that class?
They're what I would call three topics.
Mm-hmm.
Gary starts out with, what is the home or what is home of infinite possibilities? And he talks about, you realize you choose from infinite possibilities, you create from infinite possibilities, and you have chosen infinite possibilities or you've not chosen them. And you're essentially choosing to be you totally. You're not buying anybody else's reality. Mm-hmm. It's total allowance. It's the total willingness to be received completely, which is pretty big.
So that's a big topic.
Yes, that's a big topic. And that's how it starts out. There are two other main themes, basically. One is committing to your own life. And this was recorded fairly soon after Dane had truly committed to his life and the facilitators in Australia. Mm-hmm. And I guess that was February. So there was a lot of discussion about, are you committed to your life? And what does that mean? And there's commitment to your life in this reality. But really what Access is talking about is commitment to your life outside of this reality. Because this reality asks you to commit to it.
Yes.
And there are a lot of great clearings in there. I did not write down the clearings, but if you listen to it, you'll get all the great clearings. And then the third or the other topic that I just love is being owned. And once again, there's this sense of what does being owned in this reality look like? And what does being owned outside of this reality look like? And how many of us don't commit to our life because of a fear of being owned and don't create our lives because of a fear of being owned. So those are the basic, and I really...
The executive summary of the code. So Barry, let me ask you a question. Are you committed to your life? And if so, how does that look like?
Okay, well, I'm not going to answer that question. But I will tell you that I still look at where am I taking anybody else's point of view? Where am I buying anybody else's reality? Where do I believe I have to buy this reality's reality? Where am I going beyond this reality? And my sense is a lot of people on the call said, oh yeah, I'm committed to my life. And then Gary and Dana were like,
Mhm. You're summarizing this, you actually be in question what works for you, and is this actually your reality or is this someone else's? Is that the
yes.
question you function from?
Yes, yes. And one of the participants in there said, oh, it's burning, it's balls to the wall. You have to go on it. You know, it's like, then it's like, yeah, just let it consume you. Because you know how they talk about people say, I want you to clear everything. And Dane says, are you willing to be a pile of ashes on the floor? Or Gary says that. That's kind of what it is.
Mhm.
If you have to be willing to go through that, which is incredibly uncomfortable, and destroying all of your images, all
Mhm.
of your solidification of who you are. And of course, they come at this, in different ways in Access. But it's also about not having a back door. And that's one of the things that Dane talked about. Apparently, in this interchange, I was not there at the Oz facilitators, but Gary had said something. Dane was like, well, if you're going to be like that and criticize me, I'm going to take my tools and go home. You know, and then he spent apparently the rest of the, at least the day, if not the whole facilitators going, he said, I'm 50% here, 50% I'm going to leave Access. And then he said, you know, I noticed something about Gary. You know that if you are with Access, Gary's not going to leave. He's not going to go, oh, I think I'll go off to Timbuktu or India or travel around the world. He's going to be there. And that's the not having the back door. Not if, you know, my life works out this way, fine, I'll stay. But if this doesn't happen, I've got a plan, that kind of thing.
That, yeah, I remember I read the book, and in the book,
Yeah.
I love this chapter where Gary said, no matter what, I will be here.
Yeah,
He does not
exactly.
have a back door. He
He does
might
not
have,
do
yeah,
that.
he hasn't no plan B. Access is what he created, and
Mhm.
Access is what he's choosing, which
Yes.
is brilliant, and which is why we now have more than 30 years of recordings in this class. So can I ask you, Marilyn, what year did you find or discover Access consciousness?
2006, I went to the first body class, which was given by Gary, and had no prereqs. I hadn't even done bars.
So how did you find out about the body
Well,
class?
I had a friend who is no longer in Access who said, I want to try out bars on you. So she did. And I thought, oh, that's good. And then at that time, you could listen to tape. We had, you know, little cassette tapes. It wasn't like you had to have gone to the class or anything. So she gave me all these tapes. And one day I was walking in my morning walk and listening to Gary talking, and then the tape ended or something. And then I heard in my head, time to come to Access, in Gary's voice. I'm like, what? Time to come to Access. I'm like, you don't even know me. I don't even know you. He says, yes, I do. So then I was having lunch with my friend, and I said, I need to go meet Gary. And she said, well, you haven't even done, at that time, Bars and Foundation were together. You haven't even done Bars and Foundation. She said, wait a minute. There's a 3-day body class, or I can't remember how many days it was then. There's a body class, the first body class in California in 3 weeks. It doesn't have any prereqs. I'm like, I'm there. And that was how I got into it.
So 2006 body class. Body classes are not in the Access Me app because
Right.
they are more about receiving. So what was your first Access class that actually got recorded that people can find on this?
I'm not sure. It may have been the Beyond class in Noosa, Australia. That was
So
one of my first.
you traveled to Australia after one body class.
Probably. I honestly can't remember, but I knew I was going to go to that class. And also, there was a 5-day body class in Australia given by Gary and Dane. That
Mhm.
may have been before that. It's a bit of a jumble. I'm sure I did a 2 and 3. I did a 2 and 3. Gosh, where was that? Some odd place. I traveled a lot. Let's just say I did.
Okay. And you did also become a certified facilitator later on.
I did. Not too much, not too far later on. I think maybe the second or third year.
And then you also became, for those of you listeners who don't know Marilyn Bradford, you're also leading one of the specialties of access consciousness.
Yes, that's kind of an interesting story, because at the time that was the beginning of Right Recovery for You, I had a private practice as a psychotherapist, and with mostly people with addiction or things related to addiction, depression, anxiety, all that kind of thing. And I started using the access tools with my clients, and they were getting better faster. So I approached Gary and I said, hey, you know what? This is what's happening. I wonder if access could do something with addiction. And he said, sure. And at that time, there was only one other specialty, which was Right Body for You, which was being led by someone who's also no longer in access. But I said, what if we call it Right Recovery for You? And Gary said, you know what? I think I'm going to start a bunch of Right classes. And that's how all the Right classes got started.
So what year was that? You said you went to the...
Gosh, I knew you were going to ask me that. I don't remember. Probably 2009 or 10. And then Gary was after me to write the book. And that came out, I think, in 12. Really, my sense of timing is just shot to bazoobies. But
and then you being in access for over 20 years, being a certified facilitator for over 15 years, you've been to many classes, haven't you?
Oh, yes. Yes, yeah. I've been to lots and lots of classes.
So how do you use the Access Me app now as your job as a facilitator? Do you remember everything you ever heard, or do you?
No, I often go back and re-listen to calls. And then I try to get the calls. For a long time, I was not very interested in business. It was like one of those things. My dad was a professor. I grew up in a household that made business wrong, kind of. It was bizarre. So one of the things I've been doing is listening to a lot of business classes.
Oh.
Yeah. And there's a whole section of them. And then that prompted me to start rereading, because I had read it once, The Joy of Business. And actually this afternoon, I'm starting a Business Done Different class.
Wow. So you're attending or you're facilitating it?
No, I'm attending. I'm not a facilitator. Oh. And it partly is from my license, but partly it's like this came up. I'm like, why not? I've been reworking the Right Recovery for You business, really reworking it, so that it's going to look completely different. And I'm excited about that. But I'm getting a lot of inspiration, encouragement, all of that from the different business classes.
That's wonderful. So you're actually, and that's one of the benefits, that it's one of the gifts of the application. When you scroll through it, you can literally search by topic.
Yes.
Are Right Recovery classes already in the Access app?
No, I haven't received any communication about that.
Okay, so I think this is what we have to get there up next.
Okay. Yeah, that would be fun. That would be great.
So going back to the home of infinite possibilities, when you said what triggered it the most was knowing that you have infinite choice, infinite possibilities. Looking back at your journey of access, the last, I think if you started 2000, it's almost 20 years. Let's say it's 18 years.
18, yeah.
18, yeah. You're still young. Sorry for making you old.
Thank you, David. I appreciate
it. Listen, you're still so young. 2 to 5 years don't really matter, you know. Would you say would you consider yourself having infinite possibilities always? Is that your reality?
No. I wish I could say that. And just to complicate matters, for those of you who were on, oh gosh, what's not, was the class that was yesterday? I think you were there. Comes every month. My brain is
Creative Edge.
Creative Edge, yes. Jane threw another whammy, and I mean Gary threw another whammy in there, talking about how we hadn't been able to access infinite possibilities because of the destruction in the destruct universe. And I can't really go into it yet because I don't completely comprehend it. And when he said that, I went, oh, wow, that really reads. So it's always an ongoing process. It really is. And with a lot of facets. And
so I'm interviewing a lot of people about their favorite classes. Do you remember the year this class was?
2015.
2015. Now we are in 2025. So listening to a class from 10 years ago, how is that for you? Is it something, looking something up in the archive? Or is it something?
Oh, no.
What is that sensation for you?
Same information that we're getting today is there in a different way. And yes, access has been added to and tweaked, but I still listen to, and I know these are not on the Access Me app, but I still listen to things like 7 Day in New Zealand in 2012. And I always get amazing ahas and inspirations. And the thing is, the more you go through Access, when you go back to listen to a class, even if you had attended it, and I attended the Home and Infinite Possibilities, you're going to hear other things.
Okay, tell us more about this.
Well, because suppose you've done Access for a couple of years and you have, and this is really generalized and oversimplified, but you've gotten rid of these limitations, say up to here. But you think, yeah, I'm doing great. And you are doing great. And that's what I want to say, truly. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, or through the next few years, you realize, oh, I got these limitations too. It's like a dirty spot on my sweater. And you let those go. You have a broader awareness with which to receive what's being said in the different layers of the classes.
So you literally hear the same information, but you get something different out of it. You hear something different.
Oh, yeah. I can quote lines from the Home of Infinite Possibilities. I still get from it.
That's wonderful. So a life-changing class for you that you keep enjoy listening. Taking into account that there are, I think, 90,000 recordings once the upload is finished. If there was something like a second best, your second favorite class, what would that be?
That's really hard because I love the 7 days, but they're not on there. Wow. Well, I like Happiness is Just a Choice. I was online for that class with all 20 other people. Okay.
Happiness is Just a Choice. Can you give us, we have a few more minutes left, a very short download on what that class is about?
Well, the big awareness for me with that class was, oh, happiness is a choice. And so is grumpiness. And so is anger. And so is everything else. It is all just a choice. And yeah, that was really what I got out of it. I mean, I got a lot of other things too. There was some nice little vignettes and yes, I would say that's my second favorite.
Good. So going back to you, Marilyn, and your very first 3-day body class, since we cannot find it on the app and re-listen to it, do you remember your very first question you asked in that very first class you attended?
Gosh, I really don't. I would guess that it was something like, am I doing this right?
And out of curiosity, have you tried to find that very first class that got recorded?
I don't think it was recorded, actually.
Oh, it wasn't.
I don't
Okay.
think so. I mean, it might have been, but I don't believe it was. I don't remember any recording equipment or anybody besides Gary being there. It was at Corte Madera where we used to have a lot of classes.
Okay.
I don't think it was recorded.
So if people wanna find out when did you ask your first question on recorded class, where would be the best way to start looking for that?
Oh my goodness. I have no idea. I was pretty vocal in, it's a 7-day again. I did a level 2 and 3. Don't remember the year, but in Boston with Dane, and it had 20 people in it. And that was one of the first classes. I mean, can you imagine Dane doing a class with 20 people these days? They'd be breaking down the doors. But
I was in Budapest at an SOP, and I think there are like 200 people in the room plus
Yeah,
another
exactly.
online.
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
things
exactly.
have actually changed.
Yes, but he's like, I was determined to do this, and it was an amazing class. Actually, Grace Douglas was there too.
Nice. Okay.
So way before children and all of that.
Okay. So if any one of you would like to find out what was Marilyn Bradford's first question, look for Boston level 2, 3, and with a little luck, you will find Marilyn asking her questions. Marilyn, thank you so much for coming on here. Thank you so much for giving us your insight on your 2 favorite classes. Enjoy listening to the app. If anyone was going and started with the question, there is so much, where do I start? What would you recommend for someone who is completely new, just heard about the app, and where do you start once you log in?
I would ask yourself a question. Okay, awareness, what's going to contribute greatest for me to start with?
And then you mean they should just randomly scroll through the app and pick a random class?
Well, they should scroll through and await the ping. Oh, that one.
Wonderful.
That's what
I'll do that right away. If you listeners have not downloaded the app yet, go there, subscribe, and then do what Marilyn just suggested. Go through and wait for the ping.
It
Thank
is
you
so
so much, Marilyn.
Thank you so much for having
Thank
me.
you. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.